I've spent $9,000, $6.33 on Nootropics Depot over the past few years. Sorry, mom. So I've tried their entire catalog and then some, and these are my 7 favorite products. Obviously, these are gonna just be based on my opinion, so you might find different ones that work for you. And these are all gonna be specific to Nootropics Depot, so I'm gonna avoid the more generic ones that you can buy anywhere. The first supplement is one of the best cures for insomnia I have ever found. Apart from a college professor's speech, this is so effective. I thought it was just to be used to help you metabolize alcohol, to replace it on the binding site on the GABA receptor, as well as to upregulate enzymes like dehydrogenase or acetylhalide dehydrogenase. And so I kind of avoided it because that's not too interesting to me. I don't really drink too much, but then I saw people keep talking about it for its other benefits, as the alcohol processing is kind of just the tip of the iceberg because it does a lot of different stuff, and I was pleasantly surprised. And so let me spit some studies at you, except first off, one of its primary mechanisms of action is it's a GABA APAM, so which can help you relax and help induce sleep, except it can also help protect your dopamine neurons from toxins, particularly MTMP, which is a neurotoxin used to induce Parkinson's in mice for experimental studies. So that's pretty crazy, I'm not gonna lie. It also improved cognition in socially isolated mice, which social isolation could be considered a neurotoxin because it just definitely has detrimental effects towards cognition and life quality overall, as well as it was shown to lower the effects of sleep deprivation by lowering oxidative stress within the hippocampus, which is usually elevated during periods of sleep deprivation. It also dramatically improves liver health. It can also help protect against Tylenol-induced liver damage, which affects around 30,000 people in the States every single year. Another study showed that it can help reverse fatty liver disease by activating SIRT3. Metabolically, in one study in mice, it was shown to enhance metabolic health, 24 different pathways. In another study in diabetics over 3 months of use, it was shown to reduce fasting glucose, which is a pro-metabolic marker. Additionally, it demonstrates good anti-cancer effects, improved physical performance attributes, as well as asthma reducing actions, and it's all kind of crazy. Honestly, I've never really felt anything pro-cognitive from it in the sense of improving my memory, focus, i.e. anything like that. What I did notice from it is that I can take it and I can just like fall asleep, and it just makes me dramatically sleepy. And even for the fact where I can go and be my worst enemy and drink caffeine late, and I notice if I take that, I can still sleep at a good enough hour, where before, just because I'm so sensitive and caffeine has a pretty long half-life, it would help keep me up. But I notice now taking dihydromyristin that my caffeine tolerance has gone up. It could have some basis for this due to it increasing NRF2, which essentially chaperones your phase 2 detoxification system within your liver, which can help process caffeine. So it could have some scientific bias as well. Overall, I just noticed it makes me sleepy and makes it easier to fall asleep at night, as well as potent for increasing cognition long-term, as well as just protecting and increasing the function of your liver, which is important if you're taking a lot of nootropics or supplements, or even if you live in a polluted place and you're exposed to a lot of toxins overall, as your liver helps process all of those. NMN, this is a compound that is pretty well known. NMN, nuclear monotide, mononucleotide. This is something that's known for increasing NAD+ levels, therefore energy, cognition, longevity, vitality. These are all great, but the biggest needle mover for me with NMN is that it dramatically improved my gut health and resolved 90% of my issues crazily. Where for the past year, I've been suffering from something like SIBO, gastritis, some just gut inflammation, which I didn't really know what caused. I didn't know if it was because of mold. I didn't know if it was like some weird disease. And there's a few animal studies showing its positive effects for the gut microbiome, such as it increasing Akkermansia or Bifidobacterium, which are both important probiotics within the gut. And even so, it's currently being studied as a treatment for IBD or colitis. NMN is essentially a modified form of niacin, vitamin B3. So with that modification, it is fairly safe. You could consider it just a B vitamin. Apart from the gut health, it just really improves my mood. I think it kind of makes me a little bit more like authentic, which is kind of hard to establish, but I'm just in a better mood and I kind of a little bit more like comfortable like in the environment in the world. I don't know. It improves my vitality. And so there's the idea that most older people should take it as NAD+ levels decline as you age. And it's one of those things that if we ran out of NAD+ for less than a minute, we would just die. So it's obviously very important for life, for function, all of that, except should young people take it. I started taking it when I was 21. I'm 26 now. And there is no conclusive study or anything like that to say that you should take it if you are younger. Doesn't mean you can't take it or it's unsafe. But realistically, high doses for long periods of time have shown to be safe in older adults. I don't think it would be any different for younger adults. And at its core, it is just a modified B vitamin, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And if you feel some concern about that, you could always take it intermediately, so just a couple of times a week. You don't have to take it every day. The reason I get it from Nootropics Depot specifically is the NMN from them is enteric coated, so it can survive the stomach acid within the gut and then go to the small intestine and get absorbed there, giving you stronger, more potent effects. And honestly, it's pretty cheap too. For $99, you can buy a supply of a year to use NMN, where you get stronger effects and it lasts a long time and it's more efficacious than other NMN providers. So definitely a good thing to look at. This is something I found a couple of years ago when I was browsing Reddit. I looked at the owner of Nootropics Depot, his response to what he takes for sleep. And his answer kind of surprised me because it was very simple in that it was egmantine sulfate and it was Lasudae spore, which I may have mispronounced. I was a little bit apprehensive to try this because at the core, that is a reishi product, right? And reishi has been shown to decrease 5-alpha reductase, essentially decreasing dihydrotestosterone. In a study of like 19 mushrooms, it was found to have the most significant effects for that. And that was kind of based on his gandaric acid as well as another compound in it. And if you look on Twitter, you see people saying that DHT is the most important thing for a man to optimize. Increasing DHT will cure you of all ills, where if your house is in foreclosure, you increase DHT and it'll be okay. Like that type of mentality. And so naturally you want to avoid anything that will lower DHT, which reishi mushroom definitely does. So I definitely avoided it because of that. Maybe you can make the argument that it is more mild than pharmaceutical grade 5-alpha reductase inhibitors such as finasteride, for sure, except still not a good thing to take consistently because of that. Except what makes this product different is that it's just the spores of reishi. So it's not the mycelium or anything like that. And because of this, it skips those two compounds that reduce 5-alpha reductase. Therefore, it doesn't have any DHT lowering effect. And I can back this up in my experience as I've taken it for like 2-3 years. Never noticed an anti-androgenic effect from it. And so that's why I really like it. And particularly with mushrooms, they give you very natural effects. They don't feel like anything forced or foreign. So if you take lion's mane, you feel just gradually a bit more focus or a bit better memory. If you take cordyceps, a little bit more natural energy. So if you take this product, you feel just a little bit more sleepy and drowsy, but it feels very natural. The biggest thing I always thought about this was the cost, because it can be a little bit expensive. So that can be true. If you are finding that, you could always just take it sublingually underneath the tongue, or just use a smaller dose and combine it with other nootropics to induce sleep quality, such as alamide, lemon balm, magnesium, things like that. The biggest thing I notice about this is it is my cure-all be-all for sleep or insomnia. Say if I take a stimulant too late in the day and it impacts my sleep at night, I can always just take this and I can always fall asleep pretty quickly, and I can always have a good rested sleep. So it's definitely a good tool to have in the arsenal. This next compound, in my opinion, is one of the best over-the-counter supplements under $30 that is good for life success, where it makes you more confident, where you speak better, where you have more energy, where you have higher androgen levels, where you're a bit more social. And this is black ginger. And originally I bought this for its antihistamine effects because I read some posts that it is a potent antihistamine, and I just got a dog at the time and I was having some allergies, and so I was like, okay, sounds like a perfect solution. And so I bought it. Honestly, made zero difference whatsoever to my allergies, absolutely no difference, except it dramatically improved my memory. It gave me a lot more energy. I had a lot more vitality. I was a lot more social. My mood was a lot better. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good. And since the middle of last year, I've been taking this almost every day because of those effects, because it is so good. It improves blood flow systemically as well as to the brain due to the PDE5 inhibition effect. It increases mitochondrial biogenesis, so increasing endurance and mitochondria function long term, as well as it activates AMPK, SIRT1, PGC1A. It also increases thermogenesis, so essentially your body temperature, which can help lower adipose tissue, which is pro-testosterone effects, as usually having more fat distribution around the body, increases estrogen and aromatase. So if you can lower that, you can increase your testosterone levels. But there is a study showing that black ginger is a pretty potent 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, which is kind of interesting because it definitely doesn't feel that way, but the study definitely does show that. And I haven't really seen people report that effect from it, where usually 5-AR inhibitors, you kind of feel a little bit more malaise cognitively, physically, a little bit worse mood, that sort of thing. But in contrast to that, in multiple animal studies and human studies, testosterone levels, sperm quality, mating behavior, i.e. libido, and in my anecdote, it increases all of those dihydrotestosterone subjective effects, right? Where it's like confidence, mood, motivation, even though it might technically lower it. So it is a little bit of a weird one in that way. If you are noticing this effect from it, you could always take something to upregulate your 5-alpha reductase, such as Tribulus terrestris or a wild yam extract. But yeah, my 2 cents is I've never noticed any negative androgen effect from black ginger. Overall, for $30, it's a great supplement to try because it is pretty potent, pretty strong, give you pretty strong effects consistently over time, especially for energy, mood, motivation, all of that. If you are part of a lucky subset of people, this supplement will change your life, where this is Polygala, which is very much a Swiss Army knife of effects. And there are some people that are hyper responders to this herb. And even so, it's currently being trialed for treating ADHD under the name PDC 1421. And it's currently in phase 2, part 1 clinical trials for that as a norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor. The reason why I really like Polygala is that it gives you strong acute effects through the dopamine reuptake inhibition, norepinephrine reuptake inhibition, serotonin reuptake inhibition, as well as it gives you long-term effects as well due to it upregulating levels of BDNF within the hippocampus, which improves memory long-term, but also mood, as a lack of neurotropics within that brain region is commonly associated with depression. It was also shown to increase spatial memory, working memory ability within animals, but also within healthy adults. There are also some other cognitive enhancement areas that it targets, as well as it's been shown to be safe, even in kids for 3 months. I noticed when I take it, my mood is greatly improved. I can speak a lot better. I can just think quicker. My verbal fluency is just better overall. I find it easier to talk to people, a bit more charismatic, a bit more funny. I do notice I'm a bit more edgy. I kind of feel like it's because of that norepinephrine increase. So I usually pair it with something just because of that. It is interesting because it has stimulating effects at first, but calming effects afterwards. So you can actually use it for sleep. And that's usually what I use it for nowadays, where I'll take 30 milligrams right before bed, which kind of brings me up for a little bit, but then kind of crashes me down afterwards. And I start to get the heavy eyes and all of that. If I'm taking it during the day, I just take 10 milligrams, usually sublingually or just orally. And I think that's a key with Polygala, where you can take the capsules, and I've definitely done that. I've never felt anything from those, but if I take the powder and I take it sublingually or buccally or anything like that, I notice pretty strong effects. So ultimately, it just has insane ROI, where under $20, you can get this herb that gives you such strong effects. It's just so cheap, and you get so many uses from it. So it really is a good nootropic. This is one of the most underrated nootropics out there. It is a salidrosol solution, so essentially salidroside. And there was a study in the 1960s that came out that showed that salidroside was able to improve attention by 84% in healthy adults in this study. Don't at me, I know the study was 60 years ago, except even since then, there's been a lot of studies showing salidroside's benefits for brain, body, and even expanded on that, rhodiola, which is what this is derived from naturally, and rhodiola's benefits for fighting mental fatigue, for cognitive performance, for lowering stress. What makes this solution very unique is that it's standardized to the 2 primary bioactives of rhodiola, tyrosol and salidrosol, which both have unique properties, where salidrosol is a bit more energizing, where it can increase dopamine synthesis, protect dopamine neurons, increase mitochondrial biogenesis, where tyrosol is more immune modulating. Mitochondria function is very important for brain function, as it can be the gas for the car, which is your body. So it's very important. I noticed with this solution that it is a non-stimulant energizer that I can take when I'm studying at night or late in the day or so, or when I just need to pick me up, that will just like make me alert for 45 minutes, an hour or so, and I can get done what I need to, and then it wears off quickly, so it doesn't impact sleep. Honestly, it's a good mood brightener, where I notice when I take it, I can speak better, My thoughts are quicker. I'm in a better mood. I'm a bit more social, a bit more just happy and like go lucky to be around. So definitely a very good thing. I do notice a little bit of tolerance develops, which is natural. So you can always just take a little bit bigger dose or just take it all sublingually. Honestly, a great thing to try. I have all my friends try Cylindrosol solution because it's the one thing that I noticed that almost everyone will get a strong effect from, because it is pretty powerful and it is pretty effective for what it does do. Honestly, this video was a little bit of a labor of love, so I hope that you enjoyed it. Check out this video on Canna and how it can upregulate your dopamine system significantly, quickly, and sustainably, and why that was not a good thing for me.